Hello, I'm Lucas Barros, a sophomore student of high school in Chaminade. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about mathematics. When we discuss about mathematics, normally we see a really polarized way to looking at it. Either really like the subject and everything that's part of it, or totally despise it, don't even want to look to it. I always liked it, and so I got curious why I have some people that really don't like in any way, shape, or form. I got to a conclusion, and I would like to show to you here. Well, firstly, to show it, I think it's better to show an example. Uh, Here are some equations to with the quadratic. Here are some quadratic equations. Normally, we get it from the quadratic formula. Everyone heard it about some time, or at least knows what it is. It is that's the strain equation to get to resolve. Normally, when we learn about the quadratic equation, we just memorize it once or two times and answer that questions, and just review that when we're going to do some test that we needed, or we're going to study a subject that adds to it. But have you ever asked why we get from that quadratic equation to the quadratic formula? Because such formula that it's oddly specific and works every time comes from here. It don't come from anywhere more. But have you ever asked how, why, why that happens? Another good example is the Pythagorean theorem. I think everyone here knows the Pythagorean theorem. A square plus b square equals c square. Uh, but have you ever asked how to prove it? It's a theorem. When if something is a theorem, that's a proof to it. And it has. It's a not so easy proof, but it exists. It's not possible. But have you ever searched or tried to understand why, know, and know about it? And why that's important? Well, let's look at an example. Here's an equation. It's an easy equation, and and everyone should be able to do it. But does anyone here can do it? Well, why can? We weren't literally shown to it. We were shown to aspects of it, but we had never learned the logic of it. Simplifying the equation, it's basically a quadratic equation. Uh, Here's the answer. When we discuss, and why that's important? Well, that's important because that's how we can how we can understand really what's happening. When we just see a formula and memorize and memorize and memorize the things, we tend to forget, not learn, and evidently not like the subject. Another thing it is that normally when we look to subjects, we start losing the capability of doing it after some time, after some more complicated equations. For example, the only easy way to do the matrix, a third grade, it is by learning firstly the linear equations. If you don't learn any time the linear equations, you will never be able to learn the matrix. And that's what makes math complicated. We don't really understand the first part, the most simple parts. We just memorize it and forget. And basically that's the way to really understand math. You need to see math as a logic, as a way to learn, wanting to prove the things, want to understand and not just memorize it. Thank you for listening.